In a quiet lab at the University of Richmond, something unbelievable happened. Scientists built tiny electric cars, not for kids, but for rats. And what happened next completely shocked the scientific world. They called it the Rat Car Project, a strange experiment that started as curiosity and ended up challenging everything we thought we knew about animal intelligence. These weren't remote-controlled toys. They were real working vehicles, designed so the rats could steer them by touching copper bars with their paws. Each bar sent a signal to move forward, left, or right. At first, the scientists thought it was impossible. How could a rat understand something as complex as driving? But then, the impossible happened. The rats learned. They didn't just bump into the controls randomly. They began to drive toward rewards placed at the other end of the room. They figured out that pressing certain bars made the car move. They even learned how to adjust direction when they went off track. And here's where it gets even more mind-blowing. When scientists studied their brains, they found a surge in stress relief hormones, a sign that the rats actually enjoyed the process of driving. The activity was calming to them, almost therapeutic. This discovery revealed something extraordinary, that rats could not only learn complex motor skills, but also experience emotional satisfaction from success. It opened a new door into understanding animal intelligence, emotions, and adaptability. If a rat can learn to drive, what else are we underestimating about the creatures around us? In the end, the Rat Car Project wasn't just a cute viral story. It was proof that intelligence isn't exclusive to humans. It exists in tiny, unexpected places, and sometimes all it takes to discover it is giving a rat the keys to a car. In a small lab filled with the quiet hum of science, something utterly bizarre and unexpectedly beautiful was discovered. Rats were driving cars, tiny hand-built vehicles, transparent plastic shells, aluminum floors, 3 copper bars to steer. It looked like a joke, but what the scientists found was no laughing matter. As the rats learned to drive these mini electric cars, something remarkable began to happen. Their stress levels dropped. Yes, driving cars actually calmed them down. Researchers at the University of Richmond noticed that every time the rats successfully navigated the car toward a reward, usually a sweet cereal treat, their brains released more dihydroepiandrosterone, a hormone linked to stress control and confidence. They weren't just learning how to move a vehicle, they were building emotional balance. The more they practiced, the more relaxed they became. Their anxiety levels fell, and their curiosity grew stronger. It was as if the act of learning gave them purpose, something beyond survival. What's even more shocking, when scientists compared the drivers to rats that didn't get the same learning challenge, the drivers had far healthier brain chemistry. Their minds were calmer, their bodies were more balanced. This single experiment changed how researchers view the connection between learning and emotional health, not just in animals, but in us too. When we challenge the brain, when we push it to learn something new, it doesn't just make us smarter, it makes us happier. So next time you feel stressed, remember the rats, because somewhere in a lab, a tiny creature once proved, sometimes the best therapy is taking the wheel. In a world racing toward artificial intelligence, one tiny creature is quietly reminding us what real intelligence looks like: the rat. For years, we've built machines that can learn, predict, and even think. But deep inside neuroscience labs, researchers are discovering that a rat's brain still does something AI can't: adapt instantly. When scientists train rats to drive small cars, run mazes, or solve puzzles, something extraordinary happens. They don't just repeat patterns, they change strategies. If the reward moves, they adjust. If the path changes, they explore. If the rules shift, they invent new ones. That's something even the most advanced neural networks struggle with. AI learns through data. Endless repetition, millions of examples. A rat, it learns through experience. One trial, one mistake, one success, and its brain rewires in real time. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the living brain's ability to rebuild connections on the fly. Every time a rat faces uncertainty, its neurons spark in new directions, reshaping its internal map of the world. In experiments comparing rat learning curves to reinforcement learning algorithms, researchers noticed something humbling. AI systems often plateau when rules change, but rats keep learning. They adapt to new environments, new goals, even emotional shifts, something no machine has truly mastered. The secret lies in emotion. When a rat succeeds, pleasure chemicals flood its brain, dopamine, serotonin, reinforcing memory in a way data can't. AI has logic, rats have motivation. So, can rats learn faster than AI? In raw speed? Maybe not. But in adaptability, in creativity, in resilience, yes. The living brain is still the greatest algorithm on Earth, and maybe, just maybe, the real lesson for artificial intelligence is hidden inside a creature small enough to drive a toy car, but smart enough to teach us what thinking really means. In a quiet lab at the University of Richmond, scientists taught rats to do something no one ever imagined: drive cars. Tiny, clear vehicles powered by curiosity and reward. But what they discovered next went far beyond science fiction. As the rats learned to control the cars, something strange began to happen. They didn't just learn, they healed. Each driving session reduced their stress levels. Their anxiety markers dropped. Their behavior became calmer, more confident, more curious. And that's when scientists realized this wasn't just a cute experiment. It was a window into the human mind. By studying the rat's brain chemistry, researchers found elevated levels of DHEA and corticosterone balance, hormones that regulate mood, motivation, and emotional stability. The simple act of learning, of achieving control over their environment, was literally reshaping their emotional health. Now imagine what that means for us. Humans suffering from anxiety or depression often feel powerless, trapped in cycles of stress they can't control. But these rats showed something profound. Learning itself can be medicine. Every time the rats drove successfully, their brains rewarded them with pleasure and calm, just like the human brain does when it overcomes a challenge. The more they drove, the stronger that feedback loop became. It was as if each tiny success reprogrammed their emotional state, pushing fear aside and building resilience. This discovery has opened new paths for mental health research. Scientists now believe that behavioral training, skill learning, and even playful interaction could help the human brain recover from trauma. Not through drugs, but through achievement-driven neuroplasticity. It turns out healing might not always come from pills or therapy sessions. Sometimes it comes from learning to take control, even if that control is over a miniature car. Because if teaching a rat to drive can calm its mind, maybe teaching a human to rediscover purpose can do the very same thing. In a dimly lit lab, a tiny car rolls forward. Inside, a rat grips the copper controls with its paws, steering toward a reward it can't even see yet. It sounds absurd, but what scientists found inside that moment changed how we understand the human brain itself. When researchers mapped the rat's brain activity during driving, something extraordinary appeared. A pattern strikingly similar to human decision-making. Every time the rat chose a direction, its prefrontal cortex, the same part of the brain humans use to plan, focus, and make decisions, lit up. It wasn't random motion, it was intentional thought. Each turn, each pause, each correction showed a sequence of neural firing almost identical to what happens in our own minds when we face a choice. Left or right, risk or reward, try again, or give up. The rat's tiny brain was performing the same mental dance we do when navigating the chaos of life. Scientists realized this driving task wasn't just physical, it was cognitive. The rats were learning to predict outcomes, build strategies, and store those experiences as flexible memories. All functions deeply tied to the prefrontal cortex loop found in humans. And then came the real breakthrough. The more the rats practiced, the more efficient their neural pathways became. Connections between emotional centers and decision circuits grew stronger, just like in people who train their minds through focus, discipline, and problem solving. This experiment became a mirror, showing that even the simplest brains follow universal rules of intelligence, learning, adapting, strategizing. It suggests that human intelligence may not be unique. It's just a higher expression of the same biological code that drives every living brain to survive and evolve. So when a rat drives a car, it's not just a laboratory trick. It's a glimpse into ourselves, a reminder that the roots of our thoughts, our choices, our emotions might not be entirely human after all. A small car rolls across a glass floor. Inside, a rat gently presses the copper bar, turning the wheels toward a sweet treat waiting on the other side. It looks like a game, but something far deeper is happening inside that tiny mind. Scientists noticed it first through the data, then through behavior. Each time the rat drove successfully, its stress hormones dropped. But alongside that, something new appeared, a surge of dopamine, the brain's chemical of joy. Could it be that rats actually enjoy driving? Researchers at the University of Richmond think so. As the rats mastered control over their mini electric cars, they began to drive even when no food reward was present. They didn't have to, they wanted to. That single behavior flipped decades of animal research upside down, because it meant the rats weren't just reacting, they were seeking pleasure through control. When we, as humans, feel in control of a car, a project, or even our own emotions, our brains flood with the same chemicals: dopamine, serotonin, calm, focus, joy. The rats showed the same response patterns, revealing that emotional satisfaction might not be exclusive to us. Their tiny vehicles became more than toys. They were tools of empowerment. Each successful turn, each smooth drive, strengthened a feedback loop of motivation and contentment. The rats weren't just learning a skill, they were experiencing something close to fulfillment. This finding changed how scientists see emotion in the animal kingdom. It proved that joy isn't limited by size, shape, or species. It's born from the same spark that drives all living brains to explore, to control, and to grow. So yes, maybe rats can feel the joy of driving, because in that moment, behind those miniature wheels, a simple truth unfolds. Happiness begins the instant a living mind takes control of its own journey.